the Jewish Channel's Week in Review, controversy over circumcision in San Francisco, the progress in Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords' recovery, and exploring Tunisian culture. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world right now on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Voters will decide the future of circumcision in San Francisco later this year. A ballot initiative to ban circumcision for those under the age of 18 will face an up or down vote from citizens during city elections in November. Essentially, every political expert expects the bill to fail or be overturned in the courts. It's important to distinguish between the bill in San Francisco and more common legislation. In San Francisco, citizens were able to get the issue onto November's ballot by simply gathering somewhat more than 7,000 signatures from supporters in the city. By contrast, most legislation is introduced by elected officials and so usually represents more of the mainstream of a given area. But even though the San Francisco bill can't be taken as an indication that there is significant support for banning circumcision, it might be reason to believe that opposition to circumcision is growing, either in the number of people opposed or in the aggressiveness of their opposition. Those opposed to male circumcision refer to the practice as MGM, or male genital mutilation, and refer to themselves as intactivists, referring to the idea of keeping the penis intact. At the main website for the movement, mgmbill.org, organizers cite bill proposals in 46 states. However, much like in San Francisco, just because intactivists are pushing a bill doesn't mean it will generate mainstream support. Most controversial is the fact that the law has no carve-outs for religious groups, such as Jews and Muslims, among whom almost all male infants are circumcised. This is part of what makes these efforts less likely to succeed, both among voters and in the courts. But while the controversy over an isolated ballot initiative doesn't seem likely to have a broad effect, there are interesting anecdotes cropping up as a result of the publicity the effort has garnered. Asked about the idea of circumcising an infant, Oscar-winning actor Russell Crowe took to Twitter to declare, quote, "Circumcision is barbaric and stupid. Who are you to correct nature? Is it real that God requires a donation of foreskin? Babies are perfect." He added in a follow-up that he has, quote, "many Jewish friends. I love my Jewish friends. I love the apples and the honey and the funny little hats, but stop cutting your babies." While Crowe certainly has an attachment to the idea of retaining one's foreskin, the question of what to do about a foreskin went from intellectual disagreement to anti-Semitic imagery when the work of one of the major organizers of the San Francisco ballot initiative was revealed. Foreskin Man is an intactivist superhero crafted in a comic book-style piece of advocacy literature from Matthew Hess, described as president of mgmbill.org. In the second of the two episodes Hess has created, Foreskin Man takes on a character known as Monster Mohel. In the story, the mother of the newborn doesn't want the child to get a circumcision, but her husband conspires with Monster Mohel to take the baby by force and try to perform a circumcision anyway, as the mother is restrained and then attacked by a pseudo-Hasidic bodyguard and left bloodied and unconscious. But moving on from those disturbing images, new pictures were released last week that are giving many a reason to smile. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was shot in the head in January, is pictured in the first photos released since the assassination attempt that left several dead and more than a dozen injured. Giffords is shown alone in one picture and with her mother in another. The pictures were taken last month. Giffords has been undergoing rehabilitation and reconstructive surgeries in Houston, and doctors are hoping for her to be able to move to an outpatient rehabilitation as soon as early July. As to the progress of her rehabilitation, her spokesperson told the Associated Press, quote, "Her words are back more and more now, but she's still using facial expressions as a way to express. But when it comes to bigger and more complex thought that requires words, that's where she's had the trouble." Moving on, the great upheaval in the Middle East and North Africa has brought the region to the world's attention. A new play hopes to bring insights into the culture of Tunisia, as Christian Needham reports.
So in what country is it funny when a Jewish Israeli and a Palestinian fight over the affections of a young Muslim woman? In Tunisia, of course. That's the setting of Saida, a Tunisian love story, now playing at the Crane Theater on East 4th Street through June 26th. The comedy marks the 16th play staged for the Jewish Theater of New York by its founder, Tuvia Tenenbaum, who said Saida is less about Jewish-Muslim tensions and more about the so-called Arab Spring of unrest in the Middle East and North Africa, reflecting a larger generational shift in the regional culture.
I wrote a play just before the beginning of the Arab Spring, when I was in Tunisia, and it's not my first time there. And by talking to the people and realizing what the feeling is underneath, this is what it came. You can see here the parent generation and the young generation, that basically rebels against their parents' generation.
At the center of this generational clash is the tradition of marriage. Saida is the most beautiful woman in Tunisia. Abu Ali is the leader of the Palestinian Secret Service and has asked her father for a marriage. But he has competition from Judah, the leader of the Israeli Secret Service. Is Saida simply a pawn in a deadly game between these two men? And will she accept tradition and be sold off by her father, or break from custom and choose her own path? Tenenbaum says exploring such timely cultural questions is what his theater company is all about.
We try to be timely whenever we can. The Jewish Theater of New York is a political theater, that deals with issues of the present. We did do some shows that deal with like love letters to Adolf Hitler or something like that, just because we acquired a collection of letters by women to Hitler, something like that. But usually we try, be, on the dots, right with the politics, which is not so common in America.
The Jewish Theater's managing director said the group also fills an important gap in political discourse within the local community.
We think theater should do this, tackle issues which normally you cannot tackle, or in a way politicians can do it, or churches or synagogues don't do it. So that's the role of theater, is to give you a mirror of the society and make you think.
Sergei Nagorny, who plays Judah, noted how this play makes its audiences think by using his fight with Abu Ali for Saida's heart as a parable for control of Israel, and that Tenenbaum intentionally chose a confrontational political storyline.
Well, I think he's definitely trying to be political, very much in your face, very political, and he's trying to prove a point, and that is that, well, especially in this play, is the fact that what are we fighting for? What is the reason? Do we still remember? Or is it more of like, you can't have her, that's why I want her? So in a way, if one says, well, fine, I don't want her anymore, will the other one say, okay, well, then I don't either? So I think he's trying to make a point that it's time to look back at ourselves and realize that the problem is so far gone now that we don't even know why we're fighting. We're just doing it because. And generations after generations are being raised to fight for the reason that's forgotten.
Tenenbaum said he believes the fates of Middle Eastern Jews and Muslims are also intertwined.
In the West, you don't understand it yet. But there are two tribes there. There are the Jewish tribe and the Arab tribe. And they are really cousins. The languages are both Semitic languages. And my thinking is that if Europe and America get out of the Middle East, there will be peace. The Arab and the Jew meet each other. Maybe there will be some blood in the beginning, but then very fast, they will eat gefilte fish with harissa.
Saida, a Tunisian love story, is playing through Monday, June 26th at the Crane Theater. Reporting for the Jewish Channel, I'm Christian Needon.
Thank you, Christian. That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.